Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a privilege for me today to have Honorable Justice Ranjan Gogoi as a panelist. We have decided on the topic, judiciary in the digital age, but don't go strictly by the title of the discussion or interaction today. What we meant by judiciary in the digital age is basically judiciary today. And you know, Justice Gogoi is one of the finest legal minds in the country. He has already been introduced very briefly, but that was only a brief introduction. And I'm sure in front of this audience, he needs no introduction at all. So instead of wasting time, let's straight go into the conversation. Now you see, Justice Gogoi, the flow of information in this day and age is somewhat like instant coffee. There is so much of news flowing, people want instant justice. People are a restless lot in this digital age. Now my question to you, is this an issue before the judiciary? How do you look at it? Is the judiciary bothered at all about this desire among the people to have quick justice or instant justice, if I may use the word?
Shall I call you Wasbir or shall I call
Of course, call me Wasbir.
Or Mr. Hussain? Which one would you prefer?
Wasbir is the word I'd prefer.
Okay. Though I like filtered coffee, I can understand the passion for instant coffee. And why not instant information on what's happening in the judiciary? People should know what's happening and very quick, and people should know it as quickly as possible. Therefore, all the information that is coming in like flashes on the digital media, I think the judiciary should welcome it. It's most welcome. It makes the institution more transparent, more aware, alive, and relevant. I personally think it's a very, very welcome change from the yesteryears. Yes, Wasbir.
Right, I would like to know whether do judges watch news? I'm asking you this question, the media, whether it is television or digital today, give hours and hours of coverage, hours and hours of airtime on high-profile cases. They bring in panelists to argue in favor of the case and argue against the case. And at times there are anchors who will also deliver the verdict on television studios. And my question is whether you look at it as a media trial, but the bigger question is, does it influence the judiciary? Do judges actually watch news? Did you watch news?
That's a very interesting question. I don't think most of the judges would have the time either to read the newspapers or to watch TV. If they do, in many cases it would be at the cost of judicial work. People think that judicial work is court work from 9 to 5. How mistaken. Judicial work is 24/7. It's not judicial work, it's a commitment. It's a passion. You wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, remember a point, come down to the bedroom, jot down that point, look at it when you are on your table at 8 o'clock in the morning. Therefore, when you read the newspapers, except for the headlines maybe, I think it will be at the cost of your work, your morning preparation for the day's work in court. Similarly, in the evening, like very diligent students of the nursery class, you find 90% of the judges doing their homework. You have to read up the briefs of the next day, 50, 60 cases of the next day. Where is the time to look into the news channels? But once in a while, during the vacation, during a holiday, when you can squeeze in a little time, you do watch. It's interesting. People are interested in what is happening. People want instant justice. They want to break the queue of cases. Understandable.
And what do you think about the performance of the anchors when they have a media trial?
How can I say anything except that the performance is brilliant? They have read up. I realize that they have come prepared. It's not that they are talking on thin air. They have come prepared. They have done their homework. I may agree with the views expressed. I may not agree with the views expressed. That's a different matter.
Yeah.
But it's a view expressed which deserves respect. And therefore, I think the anchors are doing a brilliant job. They are bringing into focus certain areas that even the judges don't visualize. It's a big help at times.
Absolutely. That is coming from you.
Yeah,
I think that is a pat on the back.
But let me tell you, Wasbir, there's no media trial. A conclusion on certain facts that Wasbir may have, and he happens to be a media person, and therefore he is on the screen. Where else can he be? It's an expression of an opinion. There's no trial here. I mean, judges are made of much sterner stuff. They're not soft people who would be influenced by a little 10 minutes of very hard talk. Therefore, there is no media trial, there is no media conclusion. These are all aids to information.
Absolutely. Now, it is 75 years since India became independent. We are celebrating 𝗟𝗓𝗪𝗧𝗏 𝗓𝗓𝗪𝗓. Do you think judiciary is really independent?
I see that you have a piece of paper. Very well prepared and well thought out questions.
Yeah.
And take it as a sincere compliment. Independence from what, Wasbir? Independence from political influence? Independence from irrational thoughts? Independence from irrelevant forces? Irrelevance from financial, independence from financial corruption? Independence from what? You have to be more specific in your question. I think what you have in mind is independence from interference.
Yes.
Well,
external interference.
I got into a lot of trouble when I said judges don't drop from heaven. I think I told Z News about a year back when somebody asked me about judicial corruption. I said, judges don't drop from heaven. I'm telling you the same thing. Again, judges don't come from heaven. They are a part and parcel of today's contemporary society. Influence, yes, some judges may get influenced. But by and large, I don't think that's a reality. A case can go this way. I'm a little handicapped, and I have a habit of raising my left hand. A case can have two sides, two verdicts. It can go this way, it can go that way. If it goes this way, people who think that way say, oh, he has been influenced. If it goes this way, the other side will say he has been influenced. So, to say that judges are influenced or not independent, I don't think would be a very correct statement. Exceptions may always be there.
Right. I was actually asking you this question, Justice Gogoi, because the undercurrent of tension between the executive and the judiciary, it has been there always. Now we are seeing this collegium debate, where the government has said that the decision to have a collegium to decide on the appointment of judges. Now the law minister 𝗟𝗓𝗪𝗧𝗏 says that he has been quoted as saying that the collegium system is alien to the Constitution. That means, indirectly, we can interpret it as saying that the collegium is unconstitutional. So, there is this controversy about how the judges should be appointed. Your thoughts?
The answer to that is very simple. Rightly or wrongly, 11 or 13 judges of the Supreme Court No, I think the number was less. In the second judge's case, interpreted the Constitution in a particular way to say that though the Constitution does not expressly provide for it, this is what the constitutional interpretation should be. If the Supreme Court is entrusted with the task of interpreting the Constitution, and the Supreme Court has done so by saying that the collegium system is what is a constitutional contemplation, right? It is certainly not unconstitutional. You may agree with it, you may disagree with it, but the view taken is not unconstitutional. Therefore, I don't think it was very correct. I don't agree with the law minister when he says that the collegium system is unconstitutional.
So you back the collegium. You support the collegium system.
Beg your pardon?
Do you support the collegium system?
No, it's not a question of my supporting or your supporting the collegium. It's a system that has been evolved by a constitution bench of the Supreme Court as a part and parcel of the Constitution. You may agree with that view, you may disagree with that view, but that is the law. And if that is the law, that law must be respected. There are hundreds of laws, there are hundreds of judicial opinions I may personally disagree with. But does it cease to be the law because I think that the law should be different? No, it does not. That's the discipline. We may agree with something, we may disagree with something, but even if we disagree, we have to respect what we disagree.
Now, you see, we always say that India is a large democracy and so on, that judiciary is among the four pillars of democracy, the others being the executive, the legislature, and the fourth state or the media. Now, don't you think it will be rather naive of us to expect a harmonious relationship between these four pillars of democracy? I mean, we say, why can't there be differences between the executive and the judiciary? In a democracy, don't you think that will be democratic to expect differences between all the four arms?
Wasbir, let me ask you a question. And I have this bad habit of asking the interviewers questions. I think 𝗟𝗛𝗓 Goswami pointed out to me, that why are you asking me questions? I am the one who's supposed to. Now, let me ask you a question. In your network, News Live, it's a big family.
Yes.
But is there absolute harmony in your family? Don't you have disagreements? You do. If you have disagreements in News Live family, you're certainly bound to have disagreements in the national family, where you have the legislature, where the members come from one segment of society, which I have now realized being a member of Rajya Sabha. You have the judges who come from entirely a different group of people with a different mindset, right? Then you have the bureaucrats, the IAS officers, the police officers, the civil service officers. They come from a different background. How do you expect all these people to work harmoniously? There are conflicts, there are different views, but they reconcile it. That's the way it should be. Differences are healthy in a democracy. You should have differences.
But recently, you were also there when judges openly differ and holds press conferences. That's quite interesting for people outside to watch.
Are you talking about the press conference of January 2018 where I was a party?
Yes.
Well, I hope it doesn't ever happen again. I have said it. I hope it's a one-time. Judges are not supposed to go to the press. No. There is a Bangalore Declaration of Basic Values. Judges don't talk to the press while holding office. That's why you have the Chief Justice of India on the last working day always talks to the press, not before that. But exceptions in life, exceptions in this world do occur. Take the January 2018 episode as one of those instances. And let's hope it doesn't ever happen again. That's all.
Now again, shifting to another issue, is it okay to expect reservation for judges? I'm asking you this question because a parliamentary panel recently observed that there has to be social diversity in the judiciary. like appointment of more judges belonging to scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, other backward classes. What do you think?
Well, certainly if particular sections of the society are not represented, we should try and give them representation, but this should not be at the cost of quality.
Merit.
Say on a scale of 20, if you are looking for 20 out of 20, that's very good. But for an unrepresented section of the society, you can come down to 18, but you can't come down to 5. Therefore, by all means, give representation to the unrepresented, but don't compromise on quality.
Don't compromise on quality. That is important. Now you see, do you have objections to judges declaring their assets, just as the politicians do before contesting an election, for example?
Oh, no, I have no objection. I was the first one to declare my assets because I had no assets.
But there are people in the judiciary.
You would be embarrassed, Wasbir, to see my assets. I had no assets. I had no problems. Why should there be any hesitation? If you have acquired something through your hard work, show it to the world.
No.
You should be proud of it. You should be proud of the fact that I've earned so many crores through my practice. And I've paid my tax on it. You know, possibly very interestingly, I pay more taxes today on my private work than I ever did as a judge. I think the tax I paid last year is much more than what I paid as taxes for the last 10 years as a judge. Whenever I meet the finance minister, I will request her, bring down the taxation level. 42% with surcharge is too much. And it's 42%. For every 100 rupees you earn, you pay 42 rupees to the government.
Judges are also very good at mathematics.
Beg your pardon?
Judges can be good at mathematics.
Judges can do that?
Can be good at maths and any other subject.
Well,
like the journalists
Judges are supposed to be good at everything, including football.
What about, do you cook sometimes?
Cook?
Yes.
Cook, yes, I know. I cook. I cook. I don't cook every day, but if the requirement is there, I can cook my own food. I don't know whether you like it or not.
Don't take for granted if there is a necessity. Honorable Justice Gogoi can cook his own food. Everybody must take note of that.
No, let me put it this way. I would cook my own food rather than drive down to Radisson to pick up my food because the Guwahati traffic is bad. I would much rather stay at home and cook my own food.
Yeah. Now, on a serious note, justice delayed is justice denied. Now, this seems to be the biggest limitations in the judiciary as far as India is concerned, because some estimates say we have 50 million or 5 crore pending cases as of now, some as old as 30 years.
Wasbir, this is a very, very important, relevant, and sensitive question. Give me a little time to answer
Yes,
it.
Please.
Whenever there is a talk of the Indian judiciary, what do the politicians and the judges talk about? Collegium, you mentioned it. Who has the ultimate power of appointing judges? Is collegium a constitutional phenomena, or is it beyond the Constitution? Who should be the ultimate master of the judges' appointment system? These are the topics. Has anybody constructively debated on the issue that you have just mentioned? No. This is the problem with the Indian judiciary. Pre-pandemic, we were 3 crores. Post-pandemic, we are 5. When we were 3, we were scratching our heads how to solve it. 5, we have raised our arms saying, no, it's not possible. I am a born optimist. I think it is possible. divert your attention from the non-essentials like collegium, power of appointment.
Yeah.
Concentrate on the essentials. Reforms, judicial reforms, legislation. There are some lawyers here. A civil suit, the decree comes in during my time it used to come in the second generation. Today it comes in the third generation. Because it's a three-tier process going up to the Supreme Court. Criminal cases, people are being sent to jail for offenses committed at the age of 30 when they reach the age of 80 and they become grandfathers. Is this a system? No, it's not. Bring in reforms. So far as the civil law is concerned, explore the possibilities of bringing in the trial procedure engrafted into the execution procedure. Criminal trials all over the country, including states like Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, don't take more than 2 years. The problem is not with the trial courts, the problem is with the high courts. Why the high courts are taking so much of time? These are questions that need to be asked.
Right.
Never asked. Never debated. Never discussed. Discuss these and you will have a working, efficient judiciary in this country. I don't say it is not efficient. What I say is it can be more efficient.
Now you see, there is a feeling that a lot of young people who are pursuing law, they prefer the corporate sector and not the normal systems of judiciary. Is this a problem today, do you think?
Wasbir, people call me blunt. And for a good reason. You are wrong. You are totally wrong. What you say was 5 years back.
So you are saying that young people also prefer the normal judicial system to join?
My only hope for the Indian judiciary are the youngsters. There are a lot of bright people who are coming in. You know, Wasbir, I'll tell you. Don't mind when I say they are wrong.
Yeah, please.
Right.
Please.
We can all be wrong at times. There's a recruitment process going on in the Guwahati, by the Guwahati High Court for induction into the base entry point, civil judges. And I have reasons to believe that the people who are appearing in the interviews are exceptionally good people. That is the future of the Indian judiciary. And that is where I pin my hopes on. For several reasons, this has happened.
Yeah.
The terms and conditions of employment as a judge are very good. They are excellent today. The job is tremendously self-satisfying. And as you say, independence. By and large, the judges, even at the base level, civil judge level, are independent.
Right, right.
People love to be independent. They love to take their own calls, their own decisions, without interference. And the judiciary is one institution that offers these opportunities to be independent in abundance.
Absolutely. I think we have some young law students in this hall, and they would have definitely loved what you have just said.
They are the future. They are the future. I tell you about myself. When I went to take admission into law in 1975, that was almost 50 years back. I don't know how I could secure admission. I don't recollect. I don't recollect sitting in a test or going through an interview. I just walked in.
Right.
When I took my son and my daughter, they are both lawyers, by the way, for admission into the same institution, the Faculty of Law, Delhi University, there were 15,000 students who were appearing in a competitive examination.
Absolutely.
For 500 seats. That's the level.
Things have changed. Now you see, China has embarked onto the new world of what is called digital justice. Now, when cases are heard and disposed of by mobile courts on the popular social media site called WeChat, now, would you consider this weird? Or do you think this can be experimented by us in India, considering that 50 million cases are pending?
As far as China is concerned, you mentioned that WeChat.
Mobile justice.
Yeah, WeChat is something like WhatsApp. It's a messaging platform.
Yeah.
Right. Where
Yes.
which you use not only to settle cases, you use that also to order food from the restaurant and buy your groceries also. There's a particular part of that platform which is being used for solving legal disputes. Some mobile courts, they call it China Mobile Court or the Chinese Mobile Court, which has received great encouragement and help from the Supreme Court of China. Yeah, they have been doing it quite well, but that mechanism has its limitations.
Should we try? Should we not try that in India?
First, let's understand the limitations. It's electronic evidence, internet evidence. It's not physical evidence. That mechanism is very good to solve certain disputes, certain kinds of disputes, like consumer disputes. Not disputes where the facts are heavy. Converting physical evidence into electronic evidence is a very tricky proposition. And there's another problem that China is facing. The face of the litigant is unknown. His identity is unknown, is not known. And that's dangerous. So it's good, but it has its limitations.
It's good, but it has its limitations. Now, in a related manner, Justice Gogoi, our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, has been emphasizing that we should do away with archaic and obsolete laws, and already 1,500 such archaic and obsolete laws have been done away with, and 32,000 compliances have been done away with. Now, what does this mean? Were these old laws a colonial hangover that the previous governments in India just kept quiet and failed to sort of eradicate, failed to do away with?
Wasbir, don't blame one particular government and praise another particular government. Don't do that.
I'm praising one particular government and blaming the others, the other way around.
Don't do that. I wouldn't do it. A government is a government. What are these laws that have been found to be obsolete and repealed? I'll give you one or two examples. There was a law which governed or controlled performance in the theatre, 100 years old. The Britishers even controlled the theatre. You can't have everything coming on theatre. So there was a law which governed the theatrics. That was repealed.
Yeah.
There was a Salt Cess Act, right? 150 years old. Why was it repealed? The cost of collecting the cess, the tax, was more than the cess. It was repealed, right? So obsolete laws have no meaning. They should go. And therefore, I don't think I'll give any marks to any government for doing away with unnecessary laws, be it the Narendra Modi government, be or XYZ government. Old laws which have no meaning have to go. That is what has been done Why are you giving any
Is there
extra
any-
marks for that?
1,500 laws have been done away with. Justice Gogoi, can you name one law that you want to be gone actually right now?
Oh, that
Just one.
That is a very loaded question, and that's a question which is very difficult. But yes, there are huge number of laws that needs to be repealed, but the process of repeal is nowhere to be seen. That's all that I can say.
You know, I am terribly scared of this thing called the contempt of court. But now that you are sitting with me, I'm a little confident. You know, these words really scare me, everyone actually, not just me. Could you enlighten us on the scope and ambit of the court's power of contempt and the situations which will justify its use? Because we have, oh, don't do this, you will draw the contempt of court, don't speak this, don't show this, don't do this. So what do you think, what are the court's ambit really?
That again is a very loaded question. The correct answer would make me hugely unpopular with the judges. But I have never run a popularity contest in my life. Wasbir and the audience, don't ever be afraid of contempt. You know, I've been a judge, I was a judge for about 19, 20 years. I sentenced only one man. I sentenced only one man who happened to be a High Court judge for contempt. Contempt is something that you see, but if you look at it a little more intently, it vanishes. Contempt is is one of the archaic laws, perhaps, which require consideration as to whether it should continue to remain. England has abolished it. No, the dignity and the majesty of the court, which the contempt law is supposed to uphold, should, according to me, be upheld through other means, not by sending a person to jail. Now, it's at the end of the day, in a 1,000-strong crowd, you may have one person who criticizes the judges and the judiciary. But if the judiciary is doing good work, the rest 999 will support it. So you don't have to be afraid of criticism.
Yeah, but don't you think that this is the biggest weapon at the hands of the judiciary?
No, I don't think it's a weapon at all. How often do you get to hear about contempt powers being used? Very rarely. But it is there to be used when required. And mind you, contempt, there are two kinds of contempt. Civil contempt, which we normally understand, disobedience of the orders of the court. And the criminal contempt, which is more serious, where you're scandalizing the court. Right? I would say, yes, in a given situation where the institution is being scandalized beyond repair, beyond any normal acceptable level of tolerance. That's where you step in. That's where you step in. But then while exercising the contempt power, you don't have to punish him, the contemptor. You can admonish him, you can warn him, you can caution him, you can correct him. Therefore, this is the power of the court which has to be very sparingly used.
And what about sending people to jail? You know, because our jails are overcrowded, the conditions of the jails in the country are far from, acceptable norms in most places. I'm not generalizing here. And there's this tendency that, okay, isko jail bhej do, jail bhejo. Then what, at the end of the day,
No, I've not been able to understand your question.
My
Please.
question is this: sending people to jail almost at the drop of a hat, or keeping people in police lockups. What do you think of this trend? I'm not generalizing.
No, see, the level of tolerance, everybody likes a person who's tolerant, is it not?
Of course.
Right. The level of tolerance has fallen, and the level of tolerance is something that brings a comfort to the citizens, and therefore, I think that the level of tolerance has to be maintained, and stray remarks here, there, unless it is something very, very serious, affects the integrity of the nation, or incites people to rebellion. I don't think that the level of tolerance should fall to a standard where it becomes a matter of free use. No, I think the level of tolerance has to grow, and we all have to be tolerant of unpleasant things being said, unpleasant statements being reported.
Just one or two more questions, and I think I'll throw to open for questions from the house. But I request everyone to address questions to Honorable Justice Gogoi only on the subjects that we have covered today, not something totally different from what we discussed generally. Now, you see, my question to you is: you have seen it all. You have been the distinguished Chief Justice of India. Now you are an MP. Now that you are an MP, do you understand the difficulties, limitations, scope of the lawmakers better?
I understood that even while being a judge. You don't have to understand the mindset of the lawmakers to be a lawmaker. You see, there are certain questions which needs a rational answer. We have not even started the process of thinking about what the answer should be. If I were to be in Parliament, how do you expect me to reconcile to a situation where a unanimous law passed by 750 members is declared to be bad law by 2 judges who are not elected? Answer that question. But that is the law. That is what the Constitution says. Now, because of this dichotomy, you don't start taking pot shots at each other. If you have constructive suggestions, settle it in a forum which is meant for discussions on these issues. You don't use a public platform, some memorial lecture to take a pot shot at the judges, and the judges using another lecture to take a pot shot at the politicians. No. The judges, the politicians, they are all stakeholders in nation building, and what is important is, in spite of differences, a joint effort at seeing the country prosper.
Are you talking about coexistence? Forgetting the many limitations on both sides?
No, I'm not talking about coexistence. I am talking about what should be the reality. Coexistence is something that you take for granted. You coexist with so many others. You coexist with lesser mortals, higher mortals. Coexistence is a part of life. What I'm pointing out is something which is not a part of life, but what should be a part of life. The executive, the judiciary, the bureaucrats, they're all stakeholders in building this great nation. That's what should be the endeavor, to work jointly in spite of differences.
Absolutely.
Differences doesn't mean taking pot shots. Differences means pointing out your point of view to see whether you can convince the other side to take your view.
Absolutely, that is very, very well said indeed. Now, I don't have much time. I've got about 10 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes. I'll take questions. Please identify. Please be very, very brief in your questions. Yes, the gentleman was raised. with your hands. Yes.
And I may add something to what Wasbir has said.
Yes, please.
Wasbir has requested you to confine yourself to questions on what we have discussed. I say, ask any question. Questions don't trouble me. Ask anything you want to. Yes.
Ask anything you want. That is the, so you are free to ask. Yes, please. Yes. Identify yourself, be brief.
I'm 𝗡𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗘 from 𝗍𝗓 Law College.
No, you can't get the first preference because you just stood up. You are the first one to stand up.
I raised
But
my hand, sir.
there are people who had raised their hands
I raised my
before
hands.
you did. So please take your seat.
Now, he had also.
Sir,
Yes, I think this lady who's in
Okay,
front of me.
okay, next,
she's the
next
first
one
one.
to you.
Pardon.
Coming to you next. Yes. Yes. Sangeeta, yes.
Justice Ranjan Gogoi, sir, you are a role model to all of us. I'm a psychiatrist, not just because you're a judicial person, but because of your magnanimous, magnetic personality. My question to you is about women laws and justice to women in India. Now, this question has two parts to it. One is, the crimes against women are on the rise, or perhaps it's reported at an increasing rate. Be it sexual abuse against women, be it domestic violence or female feticide, it's on the rise. But because what Mr. Wasbir Hussain had just mentioned, justice delayed is justice denied. Does it apply to them too? Because a lot of women I meet in my clinic as a psychiatrist, they're very frustrated. Their cases are ongoing in the courts of law. The other part of the question is, because of, I cannot call it women bias things, but then because of domestic violence, laws and 498A of the Indian Penal Code, a lot of women are also abusing laws created for women. What is your opinion, sir?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You see, so far as the frustration amongst citizens at the delay that occurs when you come to court, this is shared equally by all. I don't think women alone share this agony. This agony is shared by every litigant. And I think the judicial system would be better off by addressing this agony instead of debating on other frivolous matters. So far as abuse of law is concerned, use and abuse is a part of life. The courts face situations of proper use and utter abuse. And this is an everyday problem. But I agree with you wholeheartedly that the laws which deal with offenses against women need to be, the cases need to be prioritized, and we need to have special courts with perceptive judges dealing with these very sensitive cases. I wish the issue raised by you is raised in an appropriate forum.
Yeah.
But the regret, madam, as I told you, whenever you discuss the judiciary, you discuss only about the collegium. You don't discuss about other relevant features of the judiciary. This is the regret.
Right.
This is the drawback.
Right. Yes, you. Please identify.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm 𝗡𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗘 from 𝗍𝗓 Law College. I'm a final year law student. My question to our Honorable former Chief Justice, dear sir, I want to know, based on your vast experience in the field of judiciary, sir, do you think like the judicial profession can be formalized in the form of an education? Like one can start his or her career being an umpire or a referee without being a football or a cricket player directly. So can one, so do you think one can directly start being a judicial professional rather being a legal professional? So representation on one hand and legal decision on one hand, sir. What is your view? Thank you.
I have not understood your question.
Sir, can judicial profession be formalized in the form of an education? Like one should not start be as a LLB or a law students. Can it be a formal education? Like one can start from the scratch to being a judicial officer, rather than it can be formalized as a form of a exam.
Now, what do you want to be? Do you want to be a lawyer or a judicial officer?
Sir, I am asking your opinion. Sure. Can it be a formalized education rather than just an examination? Like one can become an umpire or a referee without being a player. So can one become a judicial officer without being a lawyer? So what is your
Can
opinion?
one become a judicial officer without being a lawyer?
Can that be a formal education, which is not in the present convention of education?
See, if you are going to interpret the laws, is it not better that you study law before you become a judicial officer? But then, even as a judicial officer, there are certain traits in you which you don't pick up in the classroom. Sense of fairness, sense of decent behavior, sense of proper interaction. These are not things that you pick up in the law classes. This is ingrained in you as a human. And therefore, but so far as proper training in the laws that you are going to administer, that's a must. I don't think you could be a judicial officer without going through a formal process of legal education.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes,
sir.
we have.
Sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, on this side, the lady there. Okay, Mike, can I have a mic on this side?
Excuse me, sir. I have a question for.
No, see, I saw the hand first. Can I have the mic here?
Good,
Here, right here. Please stand up so that, yes. Yes. Yes, please ask your question. Yes, also since we don't have a mic, yes. Very quickly. Yes, please. Yeah, please be brief and introduce.
Sir, what is your take on AI-powered robo-lawyers?
Beg your pardon?
Artificial intelligence-powered robo-lawyers. I think a case is going to be fought next month.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very good question. The use of artificial intelligence in court work. I know of one officer who's a member of the Delhi Judicial Service who's doing it in a very constructive way. Judges pass a lot of many mechanical orders. Very many mechanical orders. Where adjourning a case, postponing a case because of certain given circumstances. If the circumstances are A, B, C, you postpone the case. And therefore, instead of writing down the circumstances A, B, C, and then adjourning and then signing, this could be a part of a mechanical process which could be entrusted to artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, madam, is coming in a big way to help mankind. And I think the judiciary has a lot to pick up from the use of AI. Yes.
Right. I can take next session. I'm just finishing my time. I can take just one more question and wrap up this session. One more question,
Good afternoon,
please.
everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
My name is 𝗡𝗢𝗥𝗧𝗛𝗏 Gogoi, and I am a student from NEF Law College. Sir, I have a very small question regarding the same point. Judiciary in digital age. Does the judiciary being positive towards the digital form makes it more transparent and more understandable for the laymen's, for the commoners who, like us, we are students, we know the law a bit more than a normal person who is just a client. Does it help make it transparent in this digital age?
Well, as the saying is that ignorance of law is not a ground. Everybody is supposed to know the law, but the law becomes so technical that it's very difficult for people to know it. I think you have a point there. To the extent possible, whether you are a law student or not a law student, whether you are involved with law or you're not involved in law, legal knowledge or knowledge of laws is something that needs to be spread. That helps the citizens in being more conscious of their rights. You are absolutely right. We should do that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We have run out of time. We could have continued this interaction with Honorable Justice Ranjan Gogoi, but due to lack of time, we have to call it curtains at this point in time. Thank you very much for your presence, and thank you, Honorable Justice Ranjan Gogoi. Thank you for being blunt. Thank you for being forthcoming with your answers, and we have to have more of these interactions with you and present your views to the general public. This, of course, this session was live. This session was coming live all across our group channels. And now the next session is coming up. Yoga Guru Swami Ramdev Ji is with us. Let's welcome him. And the next session is Swami Ramdev Ji with the Chief Managing Editor of News Live, Mr. 𝗟𝗓𝗓 Hussain. Thank you very much once again.
Wasbir, before we close,
Yes, please.
may I take a minute of your time and the audience time? You know, it's been 3 years since I've retired. This is the first time that I have interacted in a local channel.
Thank you so much. It's a privilege. It's an honor for us.
Number one, I have interacted with almost all the national channels, but no local channel ever came to me. This is the first time, News Live. Number two, I think I enjoyed it immensely. Why? The questions that Wasbir asked me are totally different from the questions that were asked by either Times Now, NDTV, or Arnab Goswami's channel, or News 18.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I was not asked personal questions. I was not asked about Rafale. I was not asked about Ayodhya. I was not asked why I became an MP. These are questions that are personal. I was asked institutional questions. How to build up a good judiciary. Let me take this opportunity to compliment you on your very methodical and pinpointed questions concerning the judiciary as an institution and not Justice Gogoi as an individual. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you.